Guess what would be nice if I'd have picked up my microphone? Well, because I want y'all to be able to hear every word that I say, honey. Let's get this ponytail together, girl. Because you know I told y'all I am a big hair baddie, girl. For those that know, you know, honey, because we go for convenience these days. But let's get into the topic. Hey, girl, I'm glad you picked up the phone today because you know we got some tea to talk about. So, first of all, hello to my babes of a certain age and all those in between. My name is Kim. This channel is called Be Youthfully You, and Be Youthfully You is all about, and I do mean all about, choosing who it is that you want to be, how you want to live with no apologies. That's what it's all about over here, honey. That's why we are, like I said, we start with the babes of a certain age because we've earned it, okay? But for those that are not of a certain age, it's okay. We welcome. All are welcome, darling. We do not discriminate over here. Because trust me, if you are going along this journey in life, then you will get here. You'll get here. And you're going to be like, you know what? Auntie put me on. Auntie put me on. Auntie Kim put me on. So today's topic, as of course you've seen in the subject matter, the divorce. It happened. It did. It happened. And let's start by saying nobody gets married to get a divorce. Nobody. But it's an unfortunate result of, it could be any reason. But there clearly is a disagreement in there, which brings you to that resolve. Personally, I have been there, and the one thing that I will say is coming to the decision, the ultimate decision that had to happen, and I do mean what I say when I say had to happen, because I knew that all measures had been exhausted. All of them. And I do mean all of them. Now, this video will be based on my personal experience. This is not to have anyone to compare my life to their life. This is not a list of boxes to check, if you will, to say, well, if you got this going, you've got that going, whatever. No, I would tell you to seek counsel and talk to someone that is what is the term I'm looking for? But like someone that you don't know, someone that will not be siding, taking sides one way or the other, because of the fact that you need neutral. You need a person that is a neutral party that will help you if needed, if you need that. Because some of us, I didn't need that. No, ma'am. I had arrived. Okay, I pulled up on that thing and I was like, yeah, this ain't gonna work. This ain't gonna work. Yeah, I've given this all I could give it. And I had my own reasonings, which we'll kind of discuss. But again, like I said, please take this with the caveat that these are my reasonings. This is what caused me to get a divorce. This is what brought me to that place. And I won't go into every single detail, but I just want to discuss the journey that I had to go on personally, my personal journey. So it's more about the journey of growth through this than so much of the he did, she did, what did or did not happen. It's not about that. So one of the biggest things that I had started to realize is that I did not like the place that we were in, right? Our life looked like it was growing and thriving constantly. It did look like it was thriving. We were on top of the world, It always looked like we were coming up. We were coming up. Things were getting better. Oh, they got an even bigger house this time. Oh, they got an even nicer car this time. So on the outside, what it looked like was definitely not what it was on the inside. However, it just always worked out that way. It always worked out that way. So that's just kind of the place where we were in. And I'm not even going to say that that was an intentional thing for it to always just look like it was better than it was. It just kind of was what it was. If you were on the outside looking in, because you could never see, again, what was going on inside of those four walls. So I started to realize over probably about maybe 2 years before the actual demise of my then marriage that we are on two completely different planes. What we discussed and what actually happened were two different things. I'm always a person of accountability. That is how I was raised. You say you're going to do something, do it. Your word is your bond. Be intentional when you speak. In the court of law, they're going to charge you with what you say, not what you meant to say. That's what it was. So I did not understand how we could have one conversation and then you completely go and do something else. That made no sense to me. And if I'm keeping my end of the deal, I don't understand what's happening. One thing I know, people can tell other people on the outside looking in whatever it is they want to tell them to try to make the story look one way, to quote favor them, and to not have it where the opinions of others will be, oh, well, this person is doing this or that person is doing that. I was so beyond any of that. The only person that I really used to talk to is I had maybe like two really close girlfriends and one that I talked to more than anyone at that time, and my mom. And not one time did my mother ever tell me to leave my husband. She never told me that. But what my mother did teach me was you always need to make a decision about what it is you're going to do. Always. And be able to stand 10 toes down in that decision, regardless to what. So that is what I held true to, was that. Nobody could talk me out of it. I don't care who. There was not a man who could, oh, I can save you. Like, when you start bringing in outside entities, this is why it's never good to especially talk to somebody that's really kind of crushing on you low key. That's never good. And we know if someone is crushing on us. We do. We do. Knowing that this is now where you are, right? You've already started to have that feeling, So, how they say God gives women the spirit of discernment, and it never ever goes away. It never goes away. Now, I'm not saying that, I need to constantly be checking somebody's phone or checking their emails or stalking their social media and stuff like that, because my discernment is telling me to do that. Discernment and insecurities are two different things. They're two different things. You don't even put them in the same basket. They don't even need to be in the same grocery bag. Okay? Like, you pick up discernment from one store and you pick up insecurity from another store. Okay? So we have to be real with ourselves, girls. They are two completely different. They two different people. They two different people. Okay? And in the world of Uber and Lyft, one is on the Uber and the other one might be in we have the self-driving cars down here. What is it, Vivo or something like that? Yeah, one of them pulling up in that. They didn't come together. They didn't come together. So you have to check that, but that's another video. So I had to realize and make a decision what it is that I want to do with my life. Did I feel that I had given it everything that I could give it? Had I admittedly not been something that is there admittedly something that I know I could say I could have done better? Only he could tell me that. Only he could tell me that. And I learned that, number one, you can't tell someone how to feel. You can't. You can't tell somebody how they should feel. We have to know what fair looks like. And fair looks different to different people. But you don't get, as a person, just as a person, right? Don't try to fit your feet in somebody else's shoes that, number one, they didn't even say you could wear them. I'm just going to say it like that. However they feel over there where they are is how they feel. You can disagree or agree, but that's still how they feel. They can say it. You can't worry about whether or not they're trying to make you look guilty, because, again, this is how we got here. There's a disagreement. Whether it's the growth, whether it's the how, meaning that how we are growing as a couple and a family, how we're spending money in this house, how we're handling our finances, how you cook every day, whether or not you're giving this person the attention that person feels that they need. Like, it could be any number of things that make somebody just up one day and say, you know what, I can't do this with you no more. I can't do this. Not with you. I can't do this with you. Sometimes people just grow apart. They really do. They become two pretty cool people. I'm just going to say, just for the sake of saying, they can become two pretty cool people going pretty cool different ways. You're not always going to go the certain way, go the same way. It just, sometimes that just happens. And it's not to say that you've wasted time, because I've heard many people say that all that time that was wasted. There's a takeaway from that. There's a takeaway from the time that you put into that relationship. There's a takeaway. Now, it's up to you whether or not you are going to be optimistic about it or not. It's up to you. How you look at it, your view, that's up to you. That's up to you. If you want to sit in the place of wasted time, I shoulda, coulda, woulda, this, that, and the other. Again, being accountable for what it is that we've done in our lives and how we got here is part of this journey. Because there's no need in saying or feeling that, well, if this person hadn't told me, they lied to me. Okay, well, maybe they did. But guess what? You still went willingly, even based on what you come to find out was a lie. That lie is on them. It's on them. Because they weren't being true to who it is that they needed to be. That's what they were doing. That's on them. God will deal with them for that. That's not your responsibility. That's not your journey. That's not your journey. So don't take that on. One of the biggest things that we do as women is we take on everything. And we are, in more times than a few, manipulated into believing that something was our fault. And it really wasn't. And I said women because I know how I've seen this happen. But I've also seen women that do the same thing, want to manipulate the situation because I want this to go my way. So it's not just a one-sided thing when it comes to that. And I never, ever want to come across like I am the president of the She Haters of Men Club, because I'm not. I'm always going to look at things fairly, at least what I feel is fair. I'm always going to be as optimistic and as hopeful as I can possibly be. That's just who I am. Okay? So whether or not both parties are in agreement of a divorce being what needs to be had, if a person wants out, they're going to find a way out. They're going to find a way out. And honestly, when I did finally reach that point of knowing, like in my knower, that I wanted a divorce, my ex-husband did not push back. It's almost kind of like he knew as well that this was, yeah. And some of his actions that kind of led up to this, because it kind of started, the final straw, I will say this, was us losing our home, right? And one of the things that I said to him, and again, this was a deal breaker. So, in another video, I mentioned that, I kept asking God, like, hey, is this a deal breaker? Is this a deal breaker? Is this a deal breaker? And it was almost like God had to say, okay, you know what? Let me, we're going to have to go ahead and lower the boom, because I was trying to so hard to do what I thought was right as Eve, and that was stay in my marriage, fighting for my marriage, pulling for my marriage. And it has survived a whole lot of things in the 20 plus years. It has survived a whole lot of things because I chose to stay. I chose to stay. Nobody made me stay. I chose to stay. Like I said, I was never taught to just find you somebody else to talk to, who gonna help you to make a decision. I've always known how to think for myself. That's just me. I know that there are some things that only you can decide for you. It does not matter about what anybody else said, because as previously stated, we can't sit and, allow other people to make the decisions for us, quote unquote, and then we turn around and say, well, I was listening to such and such, and then this person told me. No, you're an adult. You're going to have to make these decisions for yourself. You're going to have to be accountable for the decisions that you make for yourself, and own it. Stand 10 toes down in it. Whatever it is you got to do to make sure that you get to that place of happiness, because clearly right now you're unhappy. And that's what I knew, that I was very unhappy. Like, it was at that point, y'all, that when I tell you, when I would hear that garage door come up, everything in me, it would just hit utter exhaustion. And I would be thinking to myself, Lord, why are you here? Why is he here? I'm not going to lie. Why are you here? Well, that's because that man lived there. He lives there, But again, that's the reality. As much as I could stay out of his way, when I tell you, like, oh, okay, so okay, let me go this way. Okay, because I'm not an arguer, right? I'm not a debater. I'm not here. I don't egg people on. Like, I'm not that person. I'm not. I'm just not. I saw so much of that growing up, and I saw, people trying to get, quote unquote, a better understanding and stuff like that. And sometimes people will just keep on the quest of trying to understand, and it elevates and escalates to very ugly situations. And sometimes people don't survive that. They don't make it out of that because, no, you gonna tell me? No, you ain't got to tell me. If you don't want to, cool. But that's who I am. That's who I am. Learning to be quiet. So I'm that person that when something takes me there and you, quote, piss me off, what I'm going to do first is be quiet, because I do not rattle off. I'm not a reactor. So I know that if I feel a way about something, okay, we're at this point in this conversation where this can go ugly, right? So if somebody don't shut up, this is gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad, and not so much of, quote, in an act or manner of violence, but it's gonna just keep going and keep going. And I'm not doing all that, getting worked up, yelling, screaming. In that 20 plus years that we were together, we might have got into, quote, maybe 2 heated arguments, maybe 2. Because I'm not going to do that. And my ex had a mouth, right? And the one thing that I knew is, if somebody don't shut up, this marriage will not work. He's one of those. Not that I was scared. There was no like physical abuse or anything like that. I just knew what I didn't want and what I was not about to do. I'm not finna do that with you. For one, you don't deserve it. I'm not going to give you that. Because if we're having a disagreement about something, it's generally 9 times out of 10 about something that has happened. And it's like, okay, so he would jump on the fence. Like his defense mechanism switch was strong. It was quick too. Defense automatically. If you just ask a question, defense, And I would always tell him, I said, you always leave this much space where you can jump out that window. So never giving a solid answer about a lot of things, but you can't say that I said that because it's not what I said. If that makes sense. If you've definitely been around a while, then you know what I'm talking about. So in those years, I learned all of those things. I learned, I'm a person, like I said, sometimes you have to just watch behavior. People will show you who they are. They will. They'll show you who they are. Even though you might not want to believe that, they will show you who they are. They will. You might not like it, but they're going to show you who they are. It's up to you to believe it. It's up to you. You don't want to think that. If you want to put some sort of a caveat, some kind of curve, some sort of, rationale, reasoning, whatever on that, then that's what you do. But like I said, they going to show you who they are. You know how over the last maybe 10, 15 years, we started talking about the representative and how people show up, you get their best rep and stuff like that. And I could have when I tell you, I had a whole dialogue when it come down to that. And that's the fact of that is that representative ain't going to be able to stay for so long. The rep can't stay for so long. The representative is going to come in, and after about the first 2, 3, sometimes weeks to months, I'm going to say I'm going to give that rep a solid 60 days. And that's pushing it. That's kind of pushing it sometimes. Because who it is that you think this person is going to get old. And you're going to see bits and pieces of who they really are. Because that's going to be that thing that make you say, well, where'd that come from? Why would you say that to me? Well, that wasn't nice. Why would you? That's not even like you. But lo and behold, you end up finding out, oh, that is them. That is them. And again, this could be male or female. We don't discriminate. We don't. We've all seen some people do some things and say some stuff to some people. And it's not about, oh, this is, you just a hater. You just mad. This person is jealous. They don't like. No. People are who they are. They are. They are who they are. We all are. Now, whether or not you feel that the real you is good enough to be in a relationship with said person remains to be decided. It's the people are still on the fence. The jury's still out, But if you feel that you can't be anybody other than your authentic self, then you need to stay single. You need to stay single. Because there's no need in getting into a relationship with somebody knowing that, okay, I have to be this person. I have to be this person because, oh my God, I want to be this person. Because that representative, baby, you're going to look up one day and the representative going to come to the table one morning and the representative is going to be like, look, they got a list of demands, okay? They want some PTO. They're asking for a higher salary now. They're going to need a bigger contribution into their 401k. Their ask is going to be upped by about 45 to 50% because they don't want to continue trying to mask this person over here that you really are. They don't want to keep covering up for that. They don't want to keep covering up for that. They want to be you need to be who you are because I can't keep clocking in for you like that. I'm tired. This is the representative. I'm tired. I don't never get a day off. When you gonna pull the other person in? I want to tag the person back in because I'm tired of this. I'm tired of trying to be. This is not who you are. This is not who you are. And if you want me to continue to be here, then I need more. I need more. That representative, I'm telling you, the budget will go up for the representative. It'll go up. And you'll be thinking that, oh, I don't, yeah. And then in the meanwhile, your person is starting to see that real you, or that real them. And, ooh, you did you mean to leave that right there? Did you just gonna just blow your nose at the table? Hold up, how can you say that about, because this is who they really are. And then you see that you don't like that person. I don't like that person. I don't like you. I don't like you. I don't, not even like that. I don't like you. You know? That discovery can be very overwhelming. It can be. But there's always a realization of seeing that in your person. It's always a realization in that. And it don't feel good. It doesn't. You hope for the best. You do. You hope for the best. But if a person does not want to change who they are, meaning they have to see that there's a need for a change. They have to believe that there's a need for them to change or be someone different. They have to. And if they make this change, will they be happy being that person? Because if not, you're going to get a rep again. You're going to get another rep. And that rep don't care at all. Because they don't have to. They don't have to care. That rep can do and be whoever it is they want to be. Who you need me to be today? Because it's going to be temporary. They're going to be temporary. And they're going to be looking for the compensation for the representative. They're going to be looking for the fee. Because the rep is a contractor. Okay? The rep going to clock in. They're going to come in with their contract. Okay? I'm going to be here for this amount of time doing these things and being this person that you want me to be. Now, after that, we're going to need to renegotiate. Okay? If not, then I'm going to have to, open the pen and let the bull out. And that's what they're going to get. And that's what your person going to get, So, dealing with the fact that there were a lot, I can't say that it was always, because the person that I had fallen in love with and the person that I ended up with were different people in the sense of like twins. Interestingly, like twins. And there was this person that was this great man, great provider, great father figure. Responsible, would, come in. This is back when I did hair. So I used to be a hairstylist. And my Saturday, when I would come home from work, and baby, if you are a hairstylist and you see this, you are so tired that you can feel the blood circulating in your body all the way down to your feet, and they just be throbbing, just every legs, everything just throbbing. And I would be dog tired on Saturday because I've been at work since like 7:00. So I got all my clients out the way and all the things, and I would get home, him and the girls and cooked. They have made a cake, because that was always the thing on Saturday. Made a cake, they've cleaned up, everything. And all mama got to do is just come home, And so these are the things that made me, for lack of a better term, that gave me all the hope. It's like I saw all the things. This was years in. So that's the whole thing. This was years in. Now, fast forward 2-3 more years, when we were because I had my girls when we got together. So when we got ready to have a child, I just knew that, hey, I don't have anything to worry about. Things started to change. We started having some different kinds of issues. We had some we bought our first home. We started to have some financial difficulties. We start having issues with infidelity. Mind you, I just had a baby. It was a little rugged. It was rugged. But I still stayed. Nobody made me. I still stayed though. And again, this is my story. So, and this is just with me giving as much transparency as I'm willing to put on the internet, because this is a story that I would tell anybody. So, and even if he were to see this video, there's whatever he would feel would be his business. We're, friends and amicable and all those things, but this is my story. So anyway, I never wanted to have to raise my son alone. Like I said in previous video, my son was 12 when we split up. And it just kind of, like I said, the story looked good over those years, even though things came back, what I thought was came back. We still had some issues. There were still some ups and downs. But again, I stayed. I did not want to just leave. I knew that marriages, this is what the vows were about. For sickness and health, better for worse, richer for poorer. Honey, when I tell you, I exhausted all the vows. I exhausted them to the point of nauseum. I exhausted the vows. And I want to double check and triple check with God to make sure, okay, God, are we sure that have I gone as far as I'm supposed to go? Because I don't want to disappoint you, God. I don't. This is me. This is me. So over the next, like I said, 12 years, ups and downs, losses, wins, losses, wins, losses, wins, losses. But again, I stayed. By the time that we finally got to that point of, again, God, ask God, is this, I've been questioning the deal breakers. I've been questioning. When I heard that I'm trying to save our home, right? This was during the big crash of real estate, the real estate market crashing 2008 to like 2010, 11, 12. People were out of work, just all the things. So I had gotten to that point where I was like, are you going to do what it is that we need to do to save our home? Because that was literally like the only way that I was going to stay at that point, because he did not want to hold a conversation with me about things. And I don't know where he was in life. So I also respect the fact that it was like he was going through something like a sort of a midlife thing, because he was in his 40s as well. And I don't know. I can't speak for him, and I would never speak for him. But what I did know is that I could not continue to do this. I could not continue this life as it was, as I knew it right then. I could not. I couldn't. And so when I asked him about, are we going to do what we need to do to save our home? And he told me that my son was going to be all right wherever he was at. That answered all the questions. All the boxes, check, 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 signed on the bottom, honey. That was it. That was my deciding factor for, yeah, I'm done. Because I felt that if our son, it didn't matter to you. Remember, I told you, mouth. This is why I don't react. I'm not a reactor. Like speaking on the fly and just, oh, you say something to me. I'm not. Because see, you can't unsay what you say. You can't unsay what you've said. And as my husband now will say, you can't unring that bell. You can't. You can't unring that bell. I took him at exactly what he said. And I began to prepare for my life without this man. I did. And it hurt. Because this, again, nobody gets married to get divorced. Nobody. I did not know what my life was going to look like because I had spent the last 20 plus years, I had been with him since I was 23. And I could not for the life of me imagine what my life was going to be like now. But I just knew I wasn't going to do it here with him. I knew that that wasn't going to happen. I had no plan. I had no plan. I had no man, no other man. Like, I didn't have an agenda hidden somewhere where, oh, well, I'm going to go do this now. No, I didn't have that. I had that boy. And I knew that what I did know is that my child has to have a stable environment. I have to provide a roof over my child's head. And that is what my mother raised me to do. I will take care of my children. I don't care, hook or crook. My children were going to be taken care of. That was what mattered to me more than anything else. So I started going to, because I'm old school, I look at now how you go buy boxes and stuff. Yeah, I didn't know. I started hitting up the Kroger. Shout out to Kroger. I started hitting up the Krogers and the Ingles and started getting boxes. Every weekend, I was getting boxes. I just started packing up. Because one thing I knew, we finna lose this house. Yeah, we was finna lose it. I'm finna come up out of it. It didn't matter one way or the other. This house is finna go. It's finna go. And at that point, he was, it's like he asked me one day, he came and sat down in front of me because he could kind of begin to sense, because I wasn't trying to talk to him, have conversations with him anymore. Like, can you sit down? Can we have a conversation? Oh, I got somewhere to go. I got to go be over so-and-so's house. I got to go be every day. That's okay. After about 4 or 5 times that, I said, okay, you don't want to have a conversation. You don't. Okay, because you can't make nobody do nothing. I'm not finna make nobody love me. Nobody. That's what my heart said to me. I'm not finna make nobody love me. But again, my story. I remember one day he came home. I keep kicking the camera on, so y'all forgive me. He came home and he sat down. He sat on the sofa beside me and he got right in front of me. And he said, I want to ask you a question. And just like I'm looking at y'all now, I said, okay. He said, do you love me? With a straight face, I looked at him and I said, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. Just like that. Because once I make a decision, I was not going to be one of those people that, oh, okay, I'm going to stay, I'm going to go, I'm going to stay, I'm going to go, I'm going to stay, I'm going to go. 10 toes on my decision. And that's what I did. So I told him that day. He said, what does that mean? I said, I want a divorce. That cut even when I said it. For them words to come out of my mouth. But I knew it had to be said. See, this was big girl business. This was not the 20-something, that he had been with all those years. This was not the young woman that he felt just could not make it, as he told my mother, without him. He told my mama that one time. I told you my mama was a baby boomer. My mama told him that day, she said, you apparently don't know whose child you dealing with. Miss Zach, we did not play. Know that. But I sat with him that day. I told him I wanted an amicable split. He challenged that word, amicable. He challenged that word to no end. He did not know what that meant. He asked me like 3 or 4 different times, what does that mean? What does that mean? I said, look it up. Look it up. Amicable. I'm very intelligent. And my mother taught me, Anytime you hear a word that you don't understand, look at how it was used in a sentence. That's what my mother taught me. And of course, Webster will tell you anything you want to know. Anything you want to know. So, he wanted to suddenly try to do what he needed to do, try to save the house and this. I'm not going to do all that. I've already been down that road. So you're not going to get me emotionally caught up again to turn around and you may flip again. See, the decision is made. You did not want to make a decision at that time. So now I have made a decision. And y'all forgive I don't know who that is. So if y'all can hear that noise on the outside, they doing somebody's lawn. I don't know. But we're going to get through this video today. Praise him, and we're going to move on because this is good stuff. So what I do know is that I was done, and I was not about to change who it is that I am, who it is that I had worked to get to that place right there. I was not about to become anybody else. I wasn't going to ride that roller coaster no more. I wasn't. I was not going to ride that roller coaster no more. I was over it. Literally, I was over it. That day, I learned and created this mantra for myself. You either make a decision or have a decision made for you. And I had been allowing all those years for a decision to be made for me. And I finally realized that, guess what? Now I'm going to make a decision for me. I'm going to make one for me. I am. It does not matter what anybody else says or does. They can do what they want to do. But for me, this is what I'm finna do. That's just what I had to do. So I am going to make a part 2 to this because this is going to be really, really good and really, really long. So this is going to be part 1, and it's already 42 minutes and some change, y'all. So I'm going to make a part 2 to this. So stay tuned. If this is your first time here, please feel free to subscribe, girl, because you see, we definitely have a time over here. We have big girl conversations over here because we grown. We grown. This is not for the weak. This is not a page that's going to be for the weak, but it's going to be enlightening to other women. I want to be a support to other women. I want other women to see that things are possible. Okay, honey, and that you can move on and still have a beautiful life. Like, comment, subscribe, and share with your best girlfriend, honey. And I'm going to call y'all back. I promise you I'm going to call y'all back. Okay? Talk to you later.